Alright everyone, so as we know, the Suicide Squad film that is currently in theaters is not the actual film that David Ayer had intended to make, but instead a heavily edited studio cut of the film that focused more on humor and action rather than character beats and other important scenes. So we recently learned of the official original cut of the movie that featured a much darker tone and some more key Joker and Harley Quinn scenes. Now basically what I'm going to do is tell you guys what happened in the original cut of the film, kind of like a brief plot synopsis while providing spoilers and certain things that happened in the movie. So be warned if you have not seen the film, but here we go. So the original film opened with Amanda Waller in the restaurant as she is listing off the squad and starts with Harley and Joker. Now Harleen comes into Arkham Asylum and is quickly assigned to the Joker. She was reluctant at first because she was scared of him, but she quickly got over that and was able to get over her fears and fall in love with him. Now in the film, the Joker does have feelings for Harley, but says he isn't good at showing emotions, he prefers to use fists or guns. That's when he asks her for a machine gun, but she refuses in the original cut. Now he then threatens to kill her and hurt her and is trying to intimidate, but you can see on her face that she actually isn't afraid of him anymore, and she leans in and kisses him across the table and says that she'll get him whatever he needs, and he says, "Good, I'll have my boys coming, they'll be here soon." And this is a quote of the line of dialogue. He says, "I'll be sure to tell them to spare you, maybe." We then cut to a couple hours later and all of these men rush in and start killing everybody as we saw in the original Comic-Con first look for the movie, like a person with a goat head, a giant eyeball head. Those are all the Joker's henchmen in Arkham Asylum killing all the doctors, and they rush in and say to go find Mr. J. Now Harley comes in and lets him loose and gives him his gun, and he says, "No, Dollface, I like making these men go night-night." He kisses her and grabs a bat and goes through the asylum and beats everyone with a wooden bat that would eventually become Harley's bat, and that's why the bat is called Good Night. We then cut through all of these squad members and their backstories. It showed how Boomerang actually made his boomerangs like knives and the camera boomerang, and apparently it was hilarious to see. Killer Croc is a true crocodile living in a swamp, mutated but swimming on shore and going into his swampside home with raw meat hanging around and a big lazy boy couch. The Joker appeared sporadically in the original cut of the film, always dealing with the main plot but from the background. In the early screening, he kills Griggs because he heard that he was making the moves on Harley and slices him up with a butcher's knife. Now Griggs is actually the guy that was the inmate guard at Belle Rev, and this is the guy that the Joker kidnaps who was at the casino, and he says, "I can't wait to show you my toys." That actually wasn't in the final cut of the film. And he gets covered in his blood after he kills him, and he says that he walks out and screams, "Get me my Harley." We then cut to Diablo living with his family, and he goes out and does deals and is a real gang member until he accidentally gets caught by his wife and sets the house on fire and kills everyone. We then cut to him in jail, and that's where he burns all the other inmates in a prison riot. Now Deadshot is basically untouched in the original cut, and the final cut that we have in theaters, he basically just has a couple more lines, nothing too detracting from the theatrical release. Now in the original cut of the film, we get to see more of Katana's backstory. The movie moves on relatively untouched until we get to the bar sequence. Like basically all the stuff in Midway City happens in the original version with the zombies and that sort of thing, but the bar scene is where we get to more changes. Now in the original cut of the film, the bar scene was more about the Suicide Squad and not just Diablo and Deadshot talking. All of the characters were sort of talking about how they ended up in the bar, each talking about certain points in their lives and how their powers affect them. We then cut to the Joker and Harley having a fight in their apartment, and Joker storms out leaving Harley crying, and she gets pissed at him and leaves on her motorcycle to follow him onto the highway and threatens to shoot him in the head if he doesn't stop being a jerk. Now this is a flashback sequence, and it would have happened during the bar scene, like just kind of going back to Harley's past. This scene was heavily documented early on when they shot it because a lot of people had gotten set photos and videos of it. So in the scene, he slaps her and tells her that this is how he can show her his love. They then kiss and ride around for a bit until Joker gets the idea to make her more like him, and that's when they go to the Ace Chemicals, and the original Alex Ross style costumes come in and we see them dance, and it looks really cool. Now we then cut to more flashbacks of Joker and Harley back in their penthouse suite, and Harley asks who Joker loves the most, and he says the one person that makes him the happiest and the most angry, and she gets excited and he stands up and screams, "The Bat. I miss our old squabbles, I miss how angry he got. You remember the good old days, Harley, when we took care of that little birdie?" And it then cuts to another flashback of Batman holding Joker by the collar as a building is on fire in the background, presumably Wayne Manor, and he says, "You've crossed the line, I'm gonna hurt you this time, Joker." And his response is, "Not the face, I damage easily." So that kind of sets up why the Joker has the damage tattoo across his forehead, because after he killed Robin, Batman like pretty much brutally beat him probably, and that's why he has the damage tattoo, because he was damaged by the Bat, the one true person that he actually loves. So after all those flashbacks of Joker and Harley and the death of Robin and that sort of thing, we cut back to the bar scene, and the film continues as it was up until they they reach the ending point where the Joker shows up with his face half burnt by the helicopter crash and tells Harley that it's been a rough night, and this is where Deadshot and the rest of the Suicide Squad shoot at him as the Joker goes on a tirade talking about how he's the king of Gotham and how he broke the bat and none of them even came close on the Suicide Squad. He then drops the smoke grenade and leaves. This is what we saw in the trailers, and it didn't actually make it to the final cut of the film. So after this sequence of the Suicide Squad versus the Joker, the film continues on the same, they fight the Enchantress, that sort of thing, and the ending where Joker breaks out Harley was actually added to the theatrical cut of the film. So I guess that's kind of cool that they added that in instead of leaving it more ambiguous. So those are all the changes in the original David Ayer cut of the film. It sounds like a much darker film. They were going to have a lot of different things in there. Definitely felt like the focus was more on Joker and Harley Quinn in this cut of the film, actually. It didn't really feel like that was more so the focus in the theatrical cut. I felt like Deadshot was really the star of the film, whereas in the original version it seems like the Joker and Harley Quinn stuff is more front and center. You get to see a lot more flashbacks of them. You actually get to see how they killed Robin, like how that sort of thing happened. You get to see Batman and Joker have like this quick little interaction. That would have been awesome to see. I mean, it just kind of sucks how the studio kind of meddled with the movie and cut so much of it out of it and just changed it into something that I don't think David Ayer originally intended this film to be. I think that he wanted to make a much darker kind of film along the lines of The Dark Knight that Christopher Nolan had made, but the studio said we want our kind of Guardians of the Galaxy, quote unquote, because they have to make it more appealing to a broader audience. So kind of a shame because it hinders the filmmaker's ability to produce something that was more original and unique to their voice. So overall, post your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think of the original cut of the film, and would you have liked to see these Harley Quinn and Joker scenes restored in the movie? I think for me the biggest takeaway is the death of Robin sequence. That would have been very crucial to see. Anyways, if you're stopping by the channel for the first time, hit that subscribe button down there to stay up to date on all of the latest content that we provide here at the Hybrid Network. My name is Nick, and I will catch you guys next time.